Yes. Hello, my beautiful friends. It is an amazing day. Welcome back. We've got a heck of a stream planned for us ahead on the day. A bunch of news. We're turning our attention to Michigan, where Governor Whitmer, aka Big Gretch Rona, we remember her from the fake kidnapping plot. Well, she's out. She's campaigning for Kamala. We know that Michigan's going to be a very important state. And she's now working to stop Trump and his team from stopping her from changing the election rules. We'll explain exactly what's going on. But essentially, Whitmer, Big Gretch Rona, is trying to set up these different voting registration locations in some very interesting locations that are going to be Democrat super hotspots. And so we'll talk about that. Trump's lawyers have filed to stop that from happening because she's making these changes just months before the election happens. Now less than 2 months away. And so we'll go through that. There are several filings there. She filed a motion to dismiss. Trump's team has responded and said, no, this case should stick around. We have standing. She's trying to rig the election there, change a bunch of stuff in the weeks before an election, and then we'll see what the court does. Then we've got some interesting new criminal charges against the Iranians. That's right. You can see a criminal indictment was filed out of the District of Columbia. Now, I don't know if these 3 Iranian hackers have been taken into custody yet or if they're just hanging out in Iran, but they've been indicted. I don't know if they care much about it, but they've got some criminal charges percolating their way. And so we'll zoom in on this indictment. It's a 37-pager. These are the people that allegedly hacked Trump's campaign. And there's a lot of Iran stuff happening right now. And I can't help but remember back in 2020 and 2016, when back then it was the Russians that were doing the hacking. But we're already at war with the Russians. Or kind of. I mean, not really officially, although officially, yeah. But we're also now looking to get into war with Iran. And so they've done some hacking now. And so we'll read it. We'll see what this indictment says. And we'll go through it. Now, there's other things happening in the foreign affairs land. Hillary Clinton was out. She got asked a question about her take on the world. She thinks she's like a mythological Greek figure who is capable of predicting the future, even though she wasn't capable of predicting her victory into the White House. Oh, and so she's saying we got to worry about all these other countries. You know, Russia's back, China's back. And there's a bunch of nefariousness out there, including from the Iranians. But what's interesting about this is she brings up China, and the Oversight Committee is also asking some questions about China and the CCP, in particular, Tim Walz's relationship with the CCP. So they just released a new letter saying that they are subpoenaing some whistleblower records that apparently show this guy is up to no good. So this letter went out to Alejandro Mayorkas, Homeland Security, and we'll read through it because apparently there are some CCP connections between Tim Walz and China that are troubling indeed. And so that's coming up. And then lastly, my friends, we're going to check in on Mayor Adams. He was out there. He was at church. And it's so interesting when this happens. They just go to church, right? We saw this happen when people are in trouble. A lot of people just go to church. Fannie Willis went to church. Mayor Adams went to church. And then they go up there and they say, I'm not resigning. And so he's saying, I'm not going anywhere. Hochul had a comment on this. We'll listen to this news report. But people are asking, is this just going to happen at some point anyways? Like, is he going bye-bye at some point? Just a matter of time, delaying the inevitable, as it were. Well, we'll talk about it. So we've got 3 good segments because we're going to read this as well. Eric Adams, the mayor, filed a motion to dismiss his bribery charges. And the bribery charges are kind of a joke, right? Every single politician is doing this everywhere they go. They get free upgrades in their hotel rooms. They get special seating because they're a politician. They get all sorts of free crap all over the place. Even AOC was trying to stiff her bill on that dress that one time, right? It's like they all get away with it all the time. So I'm not saying it's good. I'm not endorsing it or encouraging it. In fact, but my opinion is that the law should be applied evenly, because that's what our justice system demands. And so if they're going to be prosecuting Eric Adams out of the blue for some reason, why don't they go round up the rest of Congress while they're at it? Point being is that it's a selective prosecution for whatever reason. Time will tell. But he is now filing a motion to dismiss. We'll read it. He says, are you kidding me? It's not even an official act. Everybody does this, okay, all over Congress. And so go indict the rest of our government while you're at it. And we're excited to read through all of these things and more. And my friends, it's a beautiful day. Very glad that you are here and with us. Before we get into any of this stuff, you know what time it is. It's time to get prepared, because you remember Event 201. Remember that? Just before the election, we had Bill Gates, the Economic Forum, John Hopkins. They ran a pandemic situation in October 2019. And then months later, remember, COVID hit. Well, here we are again, right? It's October. We're on the verge of a historical election. And now there's a bird flu summit that's coming up at the same time, right? Same playbook, create chaos. But we're not going to fall for it this time. We've got the Wellness Company. We were caught off guard last time, but they created a medical emergency kit that every home in America should have at least one. They're packed with life-saving meds, ivermectin, amoxicillin, Z-Pak. Experts like Dr. Peter McCullough are standing behind it. And so picture this. You're in an environment, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms, just a few clicks, this stuff is delivered right to your door. And so in times like these, having your medical emergency kit is a necessity. Get your family protected. Prepare now. Go to twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert. You'll save $30. Don't wait until it's too late. Act now. Take control and get protected. Follow the link down in the description below, twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert at checkout and you'll save $30. And that way, you've got it in case you need it. All right. So without any further ado, my friends, thanks for supporting our sponsors and helping to make this show possible. We've got business to attend to. And today we're starting off with the Trump hackers, because it's Iran again. Let's get to it. The Iranians did it. 3 of them indicted now for hacking the Trump campaign. And this is coming out of the District of Columbia. A bunch of charges. We're going to zoom in on it. We are familiar with election interference, and every year some foreign country is doing it. It's not people like Jocelyn Benson in Michigan, or Jenna Griswold, or Shenna Bellows, or any of the people who are trying to throw Trump off the ballot or let in millions of illegals, or trying to prosecute their political opponents. No. That's not election interference when the FBI is colluding with Facebook to censor Americans. No. It's when some Iranians are coming in here and hacking a foreign campaign. Now, my question is, are we ever going to find these people? Or did they just pick some people that are in Iran somewhere that we'll never find? And really, it was some foreign or some actual government agents who were responsible for this? Yeah, here, it's Iran. It's some Iranians. They're in Iran. Are you going to go in there and capture them and bring them to justice and arraign them? Probably not. But here is what the indictment is. And so the DOJ serves us up a nice little palette here. It's telling us that, all right, here's the background on the Trump hack. They say beginning in or around January 2020 and continuing through September this month, this year, malicious cyber actors from Iran prepared for and engaged in a wide-ranging hacking campaign that used spear phishing and social engineering techniques to target and compromise the accounts of current and former U.S. government officials, members of the media, non-governmental organizations, individuals with U.S. political campaigns. Now, this is part of Iran's continuing effort to stoke discord, erode confidence in the electoral process, and unlawfully acquire information relating to current and former U.S. officials that could be used to advance their efforts, including to avenge the death of Soleimani that Trump took out at the airport with that missile that time. Now, of particular note, they say, in May of 2024, this year, after several years of focusing on compromising the accounts of government officials and using some of the same hacking infrastructure from earlier in the conspiracy, the conspirators began targeting and successfully gaining unauthorized access to personal accounts belonging to Trump's campaign, including campaign officials. Now, the conspirators used their access to those accounts to steal information, including non-public campaign material. The activity broadened in late June 2024 when the conspirators engaged in a hack and leak operation in which they sought to weaponize campaign materials stolen from Trump by leaking the materials to the press in a deliberate effort, in a conspirator's own words, to undermine Trump's campaign. It's the Iranians. Now, the conspirators used sophisticated means to fraudulently access the computers. The conspirators created multiple fraudulent persona email accounts, so fake emails, impersonating other persons or organizations, including current and former government officials. They used their names in the email, and the accounts were actually controlled by the conspirators, right? So they just kind of made fake Gmail accounts or whatever. And they said, "Hi, I'm General Milley." That doesn't look real. Well, it must be him, though. Who else would do that? These persona accounts were designed to trick recipients from the persona accounts into believing that they were real. In fact, the persona accounts were used to send spear phishing emails, that is, emails designed to further deceive a victim, to click a link, take them to a bad website, download something, compromise the computer. After obtaining unauthorized access to victim computers and accounts, they would then steal data from those accounts. Now, they obtained initial unauthorized access to protected computers through U.S. wires using a variety of tools. And so for our IT folks out there, they use static IP addresses provided by the Raspina networks, and they use VPNs to obscure their true location. They created persona accounts. They created spoofed login pages. They sent emails using compromised accounts, social engineering, malware, all sorts of stuff. Long-term persistent access to the computers. So then on April 15, 2019, the U.S. designated the IRGC as a foreign terrorist organization. Now, to date, they continue to have that designation. Amongst its activities hostile to the United States is they actively targeted nationals of the United States and allies living in countries around the world for kidnapping, to repress people, and to take vengeance for the death of Soleimani. Now, during all times, Jalili was one of these people indicted, whose last known residence is in Iran. The following was a passport ID photo of this guy. All right, so we'll see if he ever shows up in American courts ever. He was a skilled computer hacker. He identified himself as a master of IT. He worked for this company since 2005, had a business relationship, and was there. Did a bunch of covert hacking and more. Now, this is apparently where the office was. All right. In and around this Tehran office in Iran. Image 3 was an open source photograph. So I guess they found a Google Maps photo or something over there. Iran maps. Okay. He's right in there. This bad guy. He's in there. Let's go get him. Now, the nameplate above the door in image 3 in Farsi matches the name. That's the company in Farsi. See it right there? That's it. They got him. Busted. Now, during all times, this is another one. So Agh Hamiri was a citizen of Iran, also less known residence, Iran. Here's a photograph of hacker number 2. He's also a graduate. He's a skilled computer hacking operator. During all times, he was a citizen of Iran, last known residence in Iran. Here's this guy too. They went on his MySpace. They got a photograph of him. All right. So he was a skilled computer hacker in Iran since at least 2012, according to a resume. He held a bachelor's degree. He created phishing attack system. He worked on a number of projects. He had experience in designing and executing a lot of software projects. All right. Now, at all times, they are known foreign nationals, and none of the conspirators were known to ever have resided in the United States. Oh, great. So it's a bunch of 3 random people who we're never going to see, ever. Great. So Raspina Networks and FDI were telecommunications and internet providers based in Iran. Long contractual network. They found the IP address. They backtraced it into the tubes. On or about December 19th, the conspirators fraudulently opened an account in the name of an Israeli politician based in Tel Aviv. So they went to... so they created a fake Israeli politician. And they're like, yeah, let's just pretend to be an Israeli. And then they'll give us whatever we want, because we'll just send an email to any politician in America and they'll just say, oh, sure, what do you need? Would you like my credit card account? Here you go. And here's my bank account. Come on in. Between July 2021 and May 2022, the conspirators used this account to knowingly falsely register at least 4 domains, which they used to continue their hacking. All right. Now, the conspirators' hacking activity from at least January 2020 to May 2024 targeted and attempted to compromise the personal email accounts of dozens of current or former prominent public officials, deputies, senior national council officials, and ambassadors. See, I told you. They're like, oh, crap, this is from Tel Aviv. Drop everything. What do they need? These officials held or currently hold positions at the U.S. DOJ, Department of Defense, State Department, U.S. Agency for International Development, NSA, they got the NSA, the CIA, the White House, National Security Council, Senate, U.S. House of Representatives. Oh, they got them all. During this period, the conspirators' hacking activity also targeted and tried to compromise, without indications of success, former officials of the UN, Afghanistan, foreign governments' intelligence services, 3 members of the media, national security correspondent, author, columnist for a major U.S. newspaper, 5 employees of NGOs, everybody, man. They were just going hog wild. Now, in addition to the attempted compromises, so they're just sending emails. They're like, hi, I'm Mr. Netanyahu. Hello. What's up? I'm from Israel. How can I, need your help? Do you want to meet? Whatever. It's like blasting emails to everybody. In addition to the attempted compromises between in or around July 21st, 2021 to May 2024, the conspirators' targeting efforts led to successful compromises of numerous persons and entities, including but not limited to a bunch of people listed below. So let's see here. U.S. victim 1 was a former senior government employee at the Department of State who was responsible for Middle East policy and involved in negotiating diplomatic efforts, including the Abraham Accords. 2 of the U.S. victim 1's personal email accounts were successfully compromised. Wild. United Arab Emirates victim 2 also promoted security there. Victim 3 was a U.S.-based author of at least 2 books about Iran. U.S. victim 3's personal email account was nabbed. U.S. victim 4 was a journalist and a fellow at a Washington, D.C.-based think tank and a fellow at United States Institutes of Peace. Personal email account compromised there. 5 was a Homeland Security advisor to a former U.S. president. Whoa! U.S. victim 5, former Homeland Security advisor to a former U.S. president. Don't know which president. U.S. 5 victims' personal email was successfully compromised by the conspirators. Just 3 random Iranian dudes. Interesting. U.S. victim 6 was a former senior official at the CIA. His work email was compromised. Whoo. Victim 7 was a former U.S. ambassador to Israel and a fellow in D.C. in a base think tank who advises U.S. policymakers on foreign policy in the Middle East. Victim 7's personal email account was successfully compromised by the conspirators. 8 was a former deputy director of the CIA. Wow, his personal account nuked. U.S. victim 9, human rights advocate, co-founder and research director from an Iranian human rights organization. His personal account nuked as well. Wild. Now, between in or around May 2024 and through at least September 2024, their targeting efforts led to the attempted compromises and successful compromises of the following individuals associated with Trump. Victim 10 was a former informal political consultant to the presidential candidate. 2 of Victim 10's personal email accounts were successfully compromised by the conspirators. We don't know exactly who that is. There's speculation about it, but we don't need to dig into that. Now, U.S. Victim 11 was an official for the campaign. Victim 11 personal email accounts similarly compromised. Victim 12 was an attorney representing the candidate. And of course, we know there's a J.D. Vance dossier that's making its way around the interwebs. People have been banned on X for sharing that. Now, attempted U.S. victim 13 was an official for Trump's campaign. 14 was a former U.S. Department of State official who was also an advisor to a presidential campaign that was suspended prior to May 2024. So who could that be? A Nikki Haley person, right? As a result of the compromise of U.S. victim 11 account, the conspirators gained access to communications between these 2 people. So it's probably a Nikki Haley person, right? That was May-ish. She dropped out. Okay, so they got charged multiple counts. So these 3 Iranian dudes who we'll never hear from, who are just gone in the wind, apparently hacked half the government. So beginning in or around January 2020, they did hacking. They intentionally accessed a computer knowingly defrauding, accessing protected computers. They transferred information by using those computers. They did it with the intent to defraud. They executed a scheme by false and fraudulent pretenses. They did this over international wire, and wire fraud is another crime. Also, the conspiracy was conducted to gain access to these machines. Why? To steal victims' data, to disrupt U.S. foreign policy, to stoke discord, to steal personal and private information, to go after Trump, undermine presidential campaign one Trump. And they did it by using networks, IP addresses, VPNs. They created fake personas. They emailed fraudulent recovery codes. They used social engineering to obtain victims' login information and multi-factor recovery codes. Don't share the code. Don't share it. Using malware and command and control. These techniques included knowingly and falsely registering internet domains. And the conspirators used stolen credentials to do this too. Now, as part of the conspirators used internet-connected computers and servers in order to do all this. The computer servers also served as hot points between computers. And they had dedicated IP, static IPs, VPNs, VPSs, email accounts, and more. As part of the conspiracy, they used servers, domains, they exploited the vulnerabilities, they gained their trust, they socially engineered a bunch of stuff. And the conspirators here later, after establishing their unauthorized access to the victim computers, they made an effort to conceal their presence. During their persistent access, when they had long-term access to these machines, they stole data and campaign material. Later, they distributed the campaign materials to members of the media and individuals that the conspirators believed were associated with Kamala's campaign. They stole it and gave it to Kamala in an effort to stoke discord and erode confidence in the electoral process. The Iranians didn't need to do that, okay? Our own government did that last time. As well as undermined Trump in advance of 2024. Now, here are the overt acts. They used a commercial VPN to create Persona Account 1 with a US-based email provider, and they made this in the name of a spouse of a sitting US Supreme Court justice. Amazing. Is it Ginny? It's probably Ginny Thomas, isn't it? I mean, who else? So they say, hey, it's Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife. What's up? She's firing off emails to everybody. Now, on or about July 7th, the conspirators knowingly and falsely registered the domain mailerdamon.online with provider 1, and they used that domain for malicious purposes. Now, on or about November 9th, 2021, so a few years ago, they knowingly falsely registered mailerdamon.live with provider.1, and they used that for malicious purposes. Then they knowingly and falsely registered the domain tinyurl.inc with provider 1 and put a bunch of fake emails to there. Now here, the conspirators used the infrastructure of the Iranians to create a persona email account with a U.S. email-based name of an employee with a Washington-based think tank called Persona Account 2, another fake person. They set Persona Account 2 as a recovery account in case the first account goes bad. Then they use Persona Account to email Victim 1 and to trick Victim 1 to click a spoofed website. And I don't know what this Persona account was. Like, who is this person? So it's like another, I don't know, Washington-based think tank Persona Account 2, the name of an employee there. At some think tank who's pick someone. So then they email Victim 1, hey, I work at this think tank. Can you please click on this? They use that website to obtain a means of authentication to the victim email account so they could obtain persistent access without alerting that. It's like, hey, fill out a form. What's the name of your dog or something? Then it gave them travel, lodging, and other information about this person who was a senior U.S. Department of State official at the time of Soleimani's death and therefore of interest to the Iranians. That's pretty freaky right there, right? Now, this is just some random person. Looks like it might even be actually, it was a senior U.S. Department of State official at the time. So I retract that. And they were just following this person around, right? If it is the Iranians, they're like following this person around, and this guy made the decision to take out Soleimani or was in on that. Woo. And that's all it takes is a bad email. He clicks a link and they got access to everything. Scary. Now, on or about April 30th, the conspirators used a commercial VPN to create a Persona account, Persona 3, with a US-based email provider. Persona 3 was also accessed from the same computer as Persona 1. Then Jalili logged into Persona account 3 from a different commercial VPN. And it's pretty interesting that like these guys are creating all these fake personas, and they would be logging in with like their real name. You know, they're like logging in with their real name and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, let me just log in here. Here's my Iranian social security number too. You want this too? Here's my home address too. Like these mega super hackers are all like logging in. He's like, would you like to log in with Google? It's like, yeah, sure. My personal Google. Yeah, authenticate that. Would you like to connect your Facebook account? Yeah, sure. Here's a picture. It's amazing. Super sophisticated hackers are just like, this is my address. They're hacking with their Facebook profiles. Personal. On or about May 9th, Balagi arrived in the Malakalu office, and then the third hacker arrived. And then they logged in to Victim 3's personal email account, and they sent a test email. They said, hi for test. So they're sending emails. Then, while logged into that Persona account 3, acknowledged, yeah, I got it. Email's working. Sent from the U.S. Victim 3's compromised account by saying, hey, yeah, we've got access. We can send emails from this person's account. Then they falsely registered the domain mailerdamon.me with provider 1. On or about June 18th, the conspirators used other Persona account 4, to email Victim 1. The conspirators fraudulently claimed to be the CEO of a fake nonprofit that they set up called Democracy in the Middle East. They're like, God, that sounds great. We'd love democracy in the Middle East. And they sent an email that contained an embedded link that purported to be an invitation for Victim 1 to come to a conference in Dubai. Why don't you come visit? It's going to be great. You're going to love it here. The embedded link was malicious. Oh no. Directed the user to a website on domain mailerdamon.me, which was used to harvest their credentials. The website initiated a splash page that spoofed a U.S. service provider's login page, which called for the victim to enter their login credentials to gain access to the invitation. Oh my gosh. It's like, we'd like to invite you to the CIA event in Dubai. Like, oh great, I love the CIA event in Dubai. Okay, just go here, make sure you log in with your CIA account, and then you'll get access to the invitation. She's like, great, perfect, I love that. Here's my CIA login, State Department login. After the entry of any login credentials, whether accurate or not, the website posted a PDF invitation to the fake conference, right? It's just a fake page. Persona account number 4 was accessed from the same computer as Persona number 1. Enters it in. Oh, here's my credentials. Like the oldest trick in the book, right? Now, on or about, they were doing this back in the AOL instant messaging days, for crying out loud. Remember that? I mean, I was on AIM with my friends. I mean, that link looks a little bit weird. The conspirators used IRGC infrastructure to create a US-based domain mimicking the name of the think tank based in DC. 3 Persona email accounts in the names of the think tank employees, including Persona account 5 and Persona account 6. Starting about August 2nd, 2022, conspirators use, again, the Iranian infrastructure to send, and they keep going back, it's the Iranians that did this, to send test spear phishing emails from Persona account 5 to Persona account 3. So they're emailing themselves. According to a service provider, Persona account 3 was the identified recovery email for 4. They're all connected. All right. Then they logged into Victim 1's email. So they go back into her email or his. Among the items that were in this email was a copy of the victim's passport. Now, between August 4th and 9th of 2022, they used a bunch of personas, Persona account 5, 6, and the account in the name of a person working for another victim to email another victim and other targeted persons, right? So now they're like chaining them together. So they got like 3 fake personas, and they're actually have a real email. They like fake emails and a real email. The email contained another invitation. The invitation offered business class travel, and accommodations to the UAE. And they invited guests to bring their spouses. Fannie Willis like thrilled. So is Mayor Adams. He's like, business class? What? Between or on or about August 4th to August 9th, once a recipient responded to the emails, then the conspirators responded from these other accounts oh, you want to come? Great. Here's a link to the registration page. The embedded link was shortened, and then it would direct one of them to mailerdamon.me. Then they used persona account 7 to cause victim 4 and the others to visit another bad page. Same thing, splash page, fake US login. They logged into their credentials into the fake splash page. Then they got the PDF again. Same thing, August 29th. They use an encrypted messaging application to go to victim 5. They harvest that person's credentials. Same thing happens here. They falsely stated in an email that U.S. victim 1 wanted to attend the conference. And then they defrauded this victim into purchasing a business class ticket for $11,000. But they did not travel on the ticket. All right. Now, continuing through October of 2022, the conspirators used persona account number 8 to communicate with an employee of victim 2 to confirm and to try to obtain other information about actual attendees to the conference. Same thing is happening here. More persona accounts. In November 2022, they used account 9 to email victims 1, 6, 7, and 8. And it was another invitation to another UAE embassy. And then they'd go, right, they'd go to a login page, another splash page, and they're just fishing for information. Then December and January, more attacks. They got access to a victim 6 email, more encrypted messaging. They claimed they were the employees of a think tank. Again, another persona account number 10. So very similar pattern here. They targeted a bunch of people. So those are the overt acts. Now, on or about May 23rd, they used FDI 117 IP address to attempt to log into a personal email account with a US-based email provider. The unsuccessful login caused the same US-based email provider to issue a password recovery code to the personal email account. And they got access to it using the code. And using FDI 117 IP to do it. Now, on or about June 12th, they obtained a means of authentication to access without authorization a personal email that belonged to victim 11, an official for the Trump campaign, right? Big one. The conspirators used Iranian infrastructure, including FDI 117 IP, to access and maintain access to victim 11's account until or about August 13, 2024. Now, that account contained campaign material. And FDI 117 IP is apparently an IP address or something. Maybe there's a technical person who can help us out with that. But I just threw it into the Googs, and I'm not seeing much. U.S. victim 11's account contained campaign material. They used the personal email account to steal campaign material from Trump, and they emailed communications to victim 14. On or about June 15th, they used victim 10's personal email account to send spear phishing emails to the official of Trump's campaign, and it contained a link that was malicious. The attempt was unsuccessful. Then they used more infrastructure, and they got another personal email account. On or about June of this year, they used actor account 1. We don't know who that is, to create the email actor account 1. So it's some actor? To send an unsolicited email containing in part an excerpt taken from campaign material that was stolen from victim 11. The email was sent to 2 personal email accounts that they believed belonged to 2 different individuals associated with Kamala's campaign. The conspirators' email stated the following: I'm the one who has access to Trump's campaign. This is the hacker message to Kamala. But I hate Trump's campaign and strongly don't want to see his second term. This is what the hackers are saying. So I'm going to pass some materials along to you that would be useful to defeat him. For the first step, below is the final prep of Trump's for the first debate tonight. Wow. Read and be strong and ready for tonight. Wow. The conspirator's email says, I've already hacked Trump's debate prep. So did Kamala actually have his debate prep? And you must know that the first debate is Biden's maybe last chance. So it's Biden. And if he loses the debate, so it was Biden. Did Biden's people have the debate prep? Then Biden will have to replace, wow. If he loses the debate, Biden, will have to replace Biden with another candidate. They did. They did. So the hacker was exactly right. The hacker gave Biden a bunch of Trump debate prep material. Biden lost and they replaced him. So the Iranians know apparently a lot. Now, one recipient email account was invalid. The second recipient email account was a valid personal email of a person associated with Biden's campaign, but the user of that email did not reply to actor's account. On or about June 27th, the conspirators used actor account to send another unsolicited email, forwarding the email described in the prior paragraph to a valid email of another Biden person, which was the same individual they emailed incorrectly the previous time. Same thing, person did not respond. Then the conspirators used actor's account 1, the same email, and they sent another one to a third individual that they thought was associated with Biden. In the unsolicited email, the co-conspirator said, Mr. Biden's Lemming, I sent below an email the two prior recipients' first names, so Lemming 1, Lemming 2, you're now Lemming 3, on the morning of the debate day, but it seems that nobody cared and nobody contacted me for more materials. I gave you Trump's literal debate prep and you're not caring about this? I have a lot in my pocket and can be one of your best chances in this rally. The user of these email accounts did not reply. So then between July 20th and July 30th, the conspirators obtained another means of authentication via a two-factor authentication social engineering scheme to obtain without access and without authorization a personal email account with a US-based email provider that belonged to US victim 12. They used infrastructure including FDI 117 IP. And Rick Donner says, an FDI IP is an Ethernet IP that is assigned to an individual computer on a network that has multiple stations connected. That's interesting. Well, how do they use that to get into two-factor authentication? And they maintained access to that account on August 13th. So does this allow them to intercept two-factor authentication stuff? On or about June 27th, the conspirators created at least 3 email accounts with a US-based email provider. And then they used those email accounts to distribute the campaign material that was stolen from Victim 11 to multiple members of the media to try to get them to publish this. In one instance, the hackers said, quote, I think this information is worth a good US news publication piece with your narration. Let me know your thoughts. They also used one of the email accounts described in a prior paragraph to send this to reporter number 1. In the text of the email, they tell reporter number 1 that victim 11 had communicated with US victim 14 about reporter 1. They exchanged several emails with the reporter, and this person was, talking, like sharing with this reporter private conversations between these two people. Then the conspirators used tools available to another account to translate the contents of emails from Farsi to English and English to Farsi, then gave them to reporter 1. In August 31st of this year, 2024, they created an additional email account with a US-based email provider that used that email account to distribute Trump's material. Multiple members of the media. Some of the campaign material distributed from this new email account contained the same vice presidential candidate information that reporter 1 got and other members of the media got. So that's probably the J.D. Vance dossier. So multiple counts. That was count 1. Count 2, we have the same stuff being reincorporated here. They say these 3 rando Iranian dudes who we'll never hear from ever again said that they are computer hacking experts and they're the hacking terrorists. So count 3, same thing, wire fraud. They defrauded to obtain money and property, materially false pretenses. These are the victims, a bunch of them. And some of these people are pretty high up. Aggravated identity theft. These guys don't care. Charge them with 100 million different charges. They don't care. They're not coming back to the United States. They're never going to be here, and they're never going to get caught. So forfeiture, all right, all that stuff. Money judgment, substitute assets, great. Criminal forfeiture, Matthew Graves. Oh, gosh. Matthew Graves, the J6 monster out of the DOJ. Incredible. All right, so basically this is trash. You can throw it in the garbage. Sorry to waste all of our time on it. These 3 Iranian bros, you know, we're never going to find them. So it's a nice little indictment. I'm glad that hopefully these people, I mean, I'm sure it happened. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that it happened. And that there is a lot of this going on. And when we spoke to our friend from the CIA, you remember Joseph B. Sweeney? We just talked with him. Those clips, those video segments are out now. He said, it's much worse than you even think. It's much worse than you even think. And so hopefully it stopped. I mean, hopefully. I think I know that guy, doesn't he? I think that guy works at the shop down the street. I'm going to have to go see. Maybe he's here. I don't know. Or maybe they just recreated that in ChatGPT or something. All right. Anyways, so we're going to continue to keep our eye on this. I have no question in my mind that there's absolutely hacking going on and there's foreign countries that are behind a lot of it. This feels very convenient. And Iran is always a very useful scapegoat when other actors are, I think, more disruptive of American democracy. And they're here in the United States right now. All right, so that's happening there. Now, Hillary is explaining that Iran is a big problem, but it might also be China, and it might also be other countries like Russia as well.
Brief final question. You liken yourself to Cassandra, the Greek mythological figure who could see the future and the prophecies, but was never believed. Putting that Cassandra hat on for the moment, but we're listening. What is something you see happening in the near future that we should be taking more seriously?
Well, I do think that the press needs a consistent I mean, the press that's not supporting Trump blatantly, very persistently, the press that's trying to be the press, be objective, be, reporting the facts. The press needs a consistent narrative about the danger that Trump poses.
There's like 5 people on Fox who are pro-Trump. The rest of them are lukewarm. And everybody else in the media is not in favor of Trump. Unless you go to independent media, then you'll find some rational thought.
Because, people may still look at the danger and say, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm going to vote for X, Y, or Z. But okay. But at least people need to be woken up and given the facts about what he has done, is saying, and would do. And I anticipate that, something will happen in October, as it always does. The Russians,
like
as I said earlier, are very active in this election. We know the Iranians are active as well. Chinese uses TikTok, or they certainly did against Biden and for Trump. I think they're a little less pro-Trump right now. So you look at where people get their information, and they get their information largely from social media. And so the campaign is doing the best job it can.
Which they want to censor, and they are censoring.
Combat both domestic and foreign false disinformation. But I anticipate there will be a full court press in October. The digital airwaves will be filled. And why does that matter? Because the press that is pro-Trump anyway oftentimes stories are put on digitally that then are picked up by, let's say, at Fox and others. And
What?
then those stories are stories, so the mainstream press reports on them, and so that story then takes on a life of its own. There will be concerted efforts to distort and pervert Kamala Harris, who she is, what she stands for, what she's done. I mean, look, the crazy story about me running a child trafficking operation out of a basement of a pizzeria.
Well, you going to answer for that? We have a lot of questions about that. What's going on?
Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Yeah, we want to know.
It was a huge story. And it got one young man in North Carolina to get in his car with his, assault rifle and drive up to liberate these non-existent children and shoot up a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. This is dangerous stuff. It starts online, often on the dark web. It migrates. It's picked up by the pro-Trump media.
Yeah, and before you know it, it's all over flight logs from Bill Clinton's trips to Epstein Islands, where he was freaking off all over the place with Lord knows who. So we're very familiar that they don't want you to talk about those things. Hillary doesn't want you to explain that the Clinton Foundation did some very weird stuff in Haiti, and people are still trying to figure out what the hell that was. A lot of strange stuff, Hillary. Yeah, we do want to know about it. We do want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes, so to speak.
It's then reported on by everybody else, which makes sure it has about 100% coverage, and people believe it. So I don't know what it's going to be, but it will be something, and we'll have to work very, very hard to make sure that it is exposed as the lie that it is.
Yeah, we wouldn't want people to believe fake stories, like the Steele dossier, like Trump is a stooge of Putin. Anything that they literally manufactured out of thin air with Jake Sullivan and the National Security Advisor. They create hoaxes and then blame Trump for them. Did the same thing in 2020, doing the same thing now with Project 2025 and abortion stuff. They just make it up and then they blame the other side. The other side speaks truth, calls them out about their bizarre operations and their money laundering routines, and they don't like it at all. Now, you want to talk about China. All right, let's do it. Well, the Oversight Committee is sending a letter over into Homeland. They say that Tim Walz might have some pretty close CCP connections that are worth investigating. You can see they dropped this one today. Says Chairman Comer is now subpoenaing Homeland to investigate Walz's connection to the CCP. The letter looks like this, and it's a good one. From James Comer from Kentucky in the Oversight and Accountability Committee, drafted over to Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas, who's wrecked the border with Kamala, dated September 30th, fresh out of the oven, writes, all right, Alejandro, my name is James Comer. I'm in the Oversight Department, saying during the 118th Congress, the Committee on Oversight and Accountability has conducted wide investigations of how you people are addressing the infiltration and influence campaign to weaken and corrupt the United States by the CCP and Iran and the Russians. Everybody's trying to invade, infiltrate, and corrupt the United States except the 11 million people at the border. They're just migrants. Now, the infiltration and influence tactic is one facet of a larger Cold War that the CCP utilizes in its unrestricted warfare against America, which the CCP considers its main enemy. Nice. Now, during its briefing with over 20 federal agencies, here's where we get some new information. In its investigation, the Homeland Committee, the Oversight Committee rather, has learned of the emphasis that the CCP has placed on influencing subnational government leaders, including state governors like Walz. Now, along those lines, the Oversight Committee has recently received whistleblower disclosures informing the committee of serious concern among DHS personnel regarding a long-standing connection between the CCP and Tim Walz. Specifically, through whistleblower disclosures, the committee has learned of a non-classified Microsoft Teams group chat among DHS employees that's titled the NST NFT Biweekly Sync that contains information about Governor Walz that is relevant to the committee's investigation. Uh-oh. Group text chat just got busted. Now, the committee has also learned that further relevant information regarding Walz has been memorialized in both classified and unclassified documents in control of Homeland. The attached subpoena requires Homeland to produce these documents and communications about Walz's connection to the CCP. This subpoena is issued pursuant to House rules, so give it to us. Now, the committee's investigation of the CCP begun long before Walz was elevated to Kamala's VP support governor. We seek to understand the extent of the CCP infiltration and influence campaign and to identify legislative reforms to combat their warfare and their elite capture. In particular, if a state governor and major political party nominee for VP has been a witting or unwitting participant in the CCP efforts to weaken our nation, this would strongly suggest there are alarming weaknesses in the federal government and our effort to defend ourselves against CCP political warfare that must be urgently addressed. Yeah, did Tim Walz get any flight upgrades on his flights to Beijing? We know they indicted Mayor Adams for that. Did Tim Walz get any nice hotel stays over there? Maybe they'll indict him. Along those lines, the committee is currently considering legislative solutions to ameliorate the deficiencies it's already identified as we combat the CCP. The information required by Homeland will inform the committee about how to do this. Please give us our materials. If you have any questions about the subpoena, let us know. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer. So, lot of foreign influence out there. We've got the three Iranian bros who hacked, huge swaths of the government. And we'll never see them ever. So that's very convenient for the DOJ and Matthew Graves. We've got Hillary blaming the Chinese, blaming the Russians, and others. But we need to censor people in order to stop their disinformation. And then, of course, we've got Tim Walz, CCP Walz, being investigated by Congress. We're looking forward to continuing to cover these stories and more, my friends. Thank you for subscribing, as we do. All right, and so let's turn our attention over to what's happening in the great state of Michigan, which is being made less great thanks to this woman. You see, this story is involving Trump. Trump versus Governor Whitmer. Big Gretch Rona. Rona is trying to change the election rules as 2024 approaches, and Trump's election legal team is responding. Whitmer has filed a motion to dismiss the case. Trump is pushing forward. We're going to read through the documents, but this is taking place out of the Western District of Michigan, and we're very familiar with Big Gretch Rona. She was the woman, the governor, who was part of the kidnapping hoax that ensnared a bunch of innocent men in a plot that never happened, that was orchestrated by the feds in order to create a white supremacy narrative that served them. But now she, in conjunction with Dana Nessel, who is the state AG, and in conjunction with the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, the three of them make up the Michigan Spice Girl team, and they hate Trump vociferously, and they're working hard to stop him. One thing that they've done is they've created these new voter registration agencies, and via executive order, Whitmer, in July, issued an executive order that would turn these entities like the Department of Veterans Affairs and Small Business Administration and other government offices, would turn them into little Democrat voter registration offices via executive order. Now, she did it. She invoked federal law. She says, I have the right to do this. And they haven't done that since 1995 in Michigan. And so she's just saying we can do that right now. And then everybody that comes through there, they'll just register Democrat and they'll vote accordingly. So Trump's defense team and his election team filed suit. You see, the RNC and Donald Trump for president, along with the Michigan Republican Party, all submitted this complaint. And now Governor Big Gretch Rona is trying to dismiss the case. And so let me explain what's happening in the litigation before we go into the motion to dismiss the response from Trump's team. But they tell us, all right, here's the intro. The NVRA, which is, let's call it federal voting law, says that states can actually designate agencies for the registration of voters in elections for federal office. Okay, so the law says you can create these little registration offices. But guess what? We've seen this pattern before. Under Michigan law, guess who gets to make those designations? The legislature, okay? It's the same pattern that we saw in 2020, and I'm going to lose my mind. Because it's the governors usurping the legislatures, which is what the Constitution, it's the body the Constitution gives the power to control the elections, is the legislature. And they make that clear. It's Constitution 1963, Article 2, Section 4, Subsection 2. It says the legislature shall enact laws to regulate the time, place, and manner of all nominations and elections, and more, including a system of voter registration and absentee voting. So Michigan law says the legislature does this. Watch what Big Gretch Rona does in a minute. Now, the legislature exercised this authority when it enacted that law. It said, this is our prerogative. It also authorized the governor to provide a list to the Secretary of State designating executive departments, agencies, and others that will perform voter registration activities. However, that authority had to be exercised within a certain period of time, not later than the 30th day after the effective date of the law. That law became effective in 1995, okay? Under the plain language, it was effective in 1995. You don't now, Michigan Governor Rona, get to unilaterally designate VRAs, these voting registration agencies, whenever you want. Now, despite the absence of this authority, Rona, Big Gretch Rona, kidnapping hoax Rona, issued Executive Order 2023, ED 2023-6 on December 18, 2023, purporting to designate several state and federal agencies as VRAs. She also made the Department of Veteran Affairs, okay, a new voting registration agency. Now, these happen to be in like Detroit, Michigan, okay? They put them all in like ultra blue hotspots. We're going to name that one and that one and that one and that one. So everybody who comes in gets registered to vote. Here, vote for Kamala, vote for Kamala, vote for Kamala. Now, the Michigan legislature never granted her the authority to do this. They wrote the law. They said the Secretary of State is responsible for developing all these things and so on and so forth. Now, despite lacking the authority, the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn, Spice Girl number 2, entered into a memo of understanding, okay? And those of you who've been with us since 2020, you're going to remember this like it's going to make your skin crawl. Same thing happened, okay? The Secretary of State enters into a private agreement and they say, well, we don't want to be sued. So the SBA is going to sue them. No, we don't want to be sued. So we enter into a settlement agreement. And via a settlement agreement, they say it's binding. Sorry, it's binding. We did it. And the non-governmental party says it binds the government. And then the government says we're bound. Now, because the governor and the Secretary of State lack the authority to do this, hello, all of these designations of VA and SBA offices as VRAs are ultra virus, out of scope. They're unlawful under Michigan law. They had no authority to do this, and Jocelyn Benson didn't have any authority to enter into that agreement. They did the same thing back during COVID, and we went through many cases that were exactly the same pattern. Some other entity would enter into an agreement with the Secretary of State, and they would say, my COVID, everything is COVID. And so all the rules would change. They're doing it here, but it's to a lesser extent. Now they're just creating VRA offices. Now, moreover, because these unauthorized actions are not lawful designations, they are not lawfully operating, and she doesn't care. So they filed a complaint. Now, Rona, Big Gretch, has moved to dismiss the complaint. Trump's defense is responding. Trump is responding to Rona. She's trying to get rid of the case. She filed a motion to dismiss. Trump's people say, no, we have valid standing here. They say the RNC and Trump and all of us respond to this, from Whitmer, Benson, and the others. They say our motion should be held, her motion to dismiss should be denied. And here's why. Once we get past through all of these brilliant cases that have been listed here, we're going to fast forward through it and jump in. They tell us In their motion to dismiss Rona Gretsch, they frame themselves as the standard bearers for voting rights of Michigan veterans. Well, we're just trying to help the veterans get registered to vote. You don't hate the veterans, do you, Rob? Yet the state defendants argue that there's a lack of standing. They say if democracy requires broad and fair access to the franchise, it also requires broad and fair access to the courthouse. So if you want them to file their claim, you got to let us file their claim. And the court should reject their approach. In just the last few months, they have tried the state to significantly change Michigan election law under the guise of a manual, right? They didn't change the law. This was the other sneaky thing that they did. They didn't change any laws. They just wrote a new manual. And in the manual tells them how to actually conduct the election. And the manual is filled with election rigging by Democrats. And this has been litigated. For example, one example of this is a presumption of validity for voting signatures. In the manual, it's, what do I do? What do I do if I can't Section 7 signature? Okay, what to do if they don't match? Pull them up, put them side by side. Okay, put a light on them. Look at the beginning. Okay, what do I do if they don't match? Well, they wanted to say there was a presumption of validity, so you don't even have to check it. Just presume it's valid unless it's clearly not or something. In the manual, they didn't change the law. So it's how you apply the law is what they're changing because they're cheaters. They also sought to immediately enact administrative rules that would limit recounts, even though the legislation won't take effect until months after the election. They resisted on mootness and standing grounds. They've taken extraordinary measures to keep Trump off the ballot. All of this while we've got a major border crisis, and that's going to result in many ineligible people casting ballots. Now, they try to shield themselves from any inquiry here. They say, what about the 11th Amendment, which is the immunity provision, right? States cannot be sued except in certain circumstances, when Congress says they can, when states waive it, or when there is an exception. And the exception is when a government official is doing their own wrongdoing. Plaintiffs, right? So in this case, they're not really suing the state. They're trying to stop a government official from doing a bad thing. It's more like an injunction. And plaintiffs are not asking, here you go, the federal court to enjoin the state. They've articulated that these actions are ongoing violations of federal law too, so they can't use the 11th Amendment to claim immunity from this action. Now, here's what actually matters, okay? The NVRA, the federal law, requires that states do designate VRAs and gives them the ability to do that. But it doesn't tell states how to make those designations. That's left up to state law. So it says you do this, but then the states decide how. So it's a question of Michigan law. And under Michigan law, authority to designate VRAs is held by the legislature. Gretsch can't do it. No Michigan executive branch official has even attempted to do this since 1995 because that governor acted under authority from the legislature, but that expired. These new VRAs coincided with an executive order from Biden that directed agencies to partner, right? So then Biden is endorsing this, saying, let's have the federal government and local state governments become our voter registration agencies for our own party. And so she's like, well, I just went along with this. But when the Michigan governor and the Secretary of State designated these new agencies, they acted beyond their authority. They violated the law. And so this needs to be stopped. The prior governor followed the rule, but nothing, that was done. When he made these designations, that was the end of it. Then in May 2022, Gretsch Rona Whitmer issued Executive Order 2022-4, which noted that Michigan's list of designated voter registration agencies has not been updated in a long time. She said, well, this hasn't been updated, so I think we should update it. Then in September of 2023, the Secretary of State, Jocelyn, acted on those recommendations. And she entered into an interagency agreement with the Department of Veteran Affairs to designate the department, the VA Medical Center, the Detroit Medical Center, the Detroit regional office as voter registration sites. Isn't that convenient? So all the ultra blue lib super centers get these government funded registration agencies. Isn't that convenient? Finally, then, they also designated the SBA as a voter registration agencies. Now, both federal agencies were designated as, quote, subject to the agreement that they signed with Michigan. But both those actions ignore the law. Only the governor can designate these things, and no later than 30 days after the law was implemented, which was back in 1995. The Michigan legislature never granted the Secretary of State any power to do this. It makes the Secretary of State responsible for only developing mail registration forms and other things. But she doesn't have the power to do that now. So we filed this lawsuit. We're now asking you to stop them from doing this. The RNC represents 30 million registered Republicans in 50 states. Many people are interested in this. In November, RNC candidates are going to appear on the ballots here. We've got vital interest in protecting these elections. The RNC brings this suit to vindicate its own rights. Simply put, and by the way, right, I would imagine that things like I don't know if these agencies, these centers are already up and operating, but they probably are. Plaintiff Trump is also suing. Michigan Republican Party's also suing. Plaintiff is a local kid. And so we've met all the standards here. We have standing. Getting standing right is important, especially in election cases, because elections ensure democratic health. If you have too strict of standing rules, nobody can get into court. Here, Rona argues that we have no factual support, but that's not the standard. The court examines whether we have made our claim, and we have pled cognizable injuries here. One means of satisfying the standard is by showing there could be economic injury. And so we have cognizable injuries here, so we have standing. We also have associational standing and more. And the 11th Amendment does not bar Gretch Rona either from being charged here with what we're claiming. To determine whether we can bring this claim against Rona, we ask ourselves a pretty straightforward question: whether the complaint alleges an ongoing violation of federal law and seeks relief. So here, it's pretty simple. We only need to show that we're suing state officials, we're not suing the state, which they're doing, alleging an ongoing violation of federal law and seeking prospective relief. And they say we're doing that. That's exactly what we've done. We've sued 3 state officials in their official capacities. We're saying that their designation of the VRAs violates federal law and the APA. And plaintiffs request prospective relief to stop this. We want an injunction stopping them from making these things VRAs. We acknowledge that, yeah, we can't sue the state, but that's not what we're talking about. We're suing these officials for violating federal law. Now, they give us more details on the construct of the NVRA, which we'll fast forward through, and they detail that only the legislature controls this in Michigan. Sorry, Jocelyn. Sorry, Whitmer. Under the Constitution, the legislature conducts this. It's vested in a governor, but the governor doesn't have the power to make the laws. The legislature does. The Michigan legislature adopted the laws to comport with the NVRA passed by Congress, specifically defining designated voter registration agencies as follows, and expressly designated numerous agencies. It makes no mention, the law, of the governor's authority to designate VRAs, and there is no power after this date. It was a one-ended authority, one-time permission to make these decisions, and that's it. And now when a voter registration application is submitted, then they have to do a bunch of things, right? To actually process the registration form. And they did it with intentionality. Now, in other words, if you create a VRA, there are consequences for that, right? The legislature has to pay for it. We've got a bunch of stuff that needs to be dealt with. Like, we got to pick the ballots up from there. Registrations going on there. You can't just create new offices out of thin air. In other words, the legislature creates these things and creates the structure, and then the executive branch enforces the law. So they're just creating a bunch of new entities usurping the legislature. So Gretchen Rona acted outside the law when she tried to do this. For almost 3 decades, there were no attempts to designate any other agencies, but then Rona came in and just did it. She concluded, it's time to review and update Michigan's list. And so she did it. This appears to have been inspired by Biden, who is also changing this at a national level. Well, let's just use federal funds and U.S. taxpayer dollars to buttress the Democratic get out the vote operations. Whitmer issued another executive order and then implemented it. Here's the bottom line. Whitmer's attempts to designate these as VRAs violate both Michigan law and federal law, and they're exercising improper legislative authority. They're not Congress. Michigan says the legislature has the power to do that. The executive power is to enforce or effectuate the laws that the legislature creates, and thus the governor lacks the authority to make these laws. But she's doing it. While the governor has the power to enforce the laws that the legislature passes, she cannot change or extend them, but she's doing that. It's outside the scope. Same thing happened here. The Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, is not allowed to do this. She and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, all right, two, big government lefty interested groups. They get together. They say, we're going to sign an interagency agreement, and we're going to designate the Saginaw VA Medical Center, Detroit VA, Detroit Regional as agencies and offices. So just Democrat registration supercenters. The Michigan Department of State press release said that the official designation of VA as a voter registration site will come through executive order in the coming weeks. And then they did it. Using our funds. Now, the purpose section of the MOA, without the legislature's authority as well. Consistent with Michigan state constitutional arrangement, the legislature has the ability to do this. Secretary of State is responsible for these other things. Nothing in her power allows her to do this, but she did it. And the conclusion is that they are prohibited from supplying provisions. They can't do stuff that the legislature didn't say they can do. Now, the fact is, the legislature has not granted Jocelyn Benson the authority to do any of this. And they're violating federal law. There is nothing established at all about a Michigan governor like Rona dusting off a 28-year-old executive order that none of her predecessors had ever invoked and then using it in 2024. Designating VRAs in this manner, particularly when every other VRAs came from statutory authority from the legislature, is not a series of steps in a regularly, orderly, definite way. It's completely ad hoc. She's making it up as she goes along. So is their contract with the SBA. This whole thing came from Biden's executive order. Now, each state shall establish procedures. That's right. Shall. And we have them. It comes from the legislature. They have been established. It's not discretionary. So she doesn't have the ability to just change it up. And so the legislature makes these decisions, and we have standing to bring this claim. Confidence in the integrity of our electoral process is essential to the functioning of our democracy. And that's true, and that's long been destroyed. The unlawful actions of Michigan Governor Rona and Secretary of State Benson and the federal defendants undermine that confidence. The state defendants had no authority to designate any of these as VRAs, and for the reasons explained above, and their attempt to do so, it's a continuing violation of both state and federal law. That is likely why they're urging this court to dismiss based on standing and immunity rather than on the merits. They know both those arguments are unavailing. So deny their request and let this case move forward. Signed by election lawyers Jonathan B. Koch and Gary Lakowski from the Dillon Law Group. Shout out to our friends at the Dillon Law Group and our friends at Smith, Haughey, Rice, and Roge. Good to see a nice filing there, but Michigan is so corrupt, as we mentioned. The three ladies there are doing everything they can to permutate around the margins. They don't have the capacity to cheat flagrantly in the statutes, but they just write election manuals that cheat there. And they do other things like this, set up voter agencies, voter registration agencies, right? All of these little things around the margins all add up. And they're cheaters. They're not supposed to be doing this stuff, weaponizing their offices to ensure and enshrine their power. That's what they do. We'll be here continuing to cover it. Now, here was Rona speaking about some of this.
American, making sure that people are respected and protected under the law and that you can access health care when you need it, period.
Whitmer's visit Sunday was to promote the Harris-Walz campaign's Fighting for Reproductive Freedom bus tour. The tour is set to make at least 50 stops in key battleground states before November's election to advocate for reproductive rights. Guest speaker...
That room looked a little empty, didn't it, right there? Pretty empty there, Big Gretch.
Rights. Guest speaker Laurel Marcinkus shared her experience with abortion and advocated against what Democrats say is a national ban if Trump is elected president again.
The situation was so severe.
Okay, so a national ban, I think they're a little bit delusional because Trump has not ever said anything like that. So they're living in their own bizarre minds. Not much we can do about it. All right, so let's continue on, my friends. We've got another story to attend to. And this one is courtesy of New York Mayor Adams. And he's not going anywhere. Let's see what Adams said. Where was he? Mayor Adams in New York, not going anywhere, saying resignation, not happening. In fact, he's filed a motion to dismiss his bribery charges, and he showed up in court and in church to explain that he's not going anywhere. Here's what that sounded like.
Mayor Eric Adams appearing at yet another church this weekend, this morning taking questions outside the Emmanuel Presbyterian Reformed Church in the Bronx.
This is a great moment to step up and show all New Yorkers who are going through complexities in their lives that how you must remain focused on your agenda, and that's what I'm going to do.
The mayor speaking at the pulpit said he has no intention of resigning, despite a growing chorus of city voices urging him to do just that.
I'm going to step up. I'm not going to resign. I'm going to reign.
The mayor was asked about the person who could force him out of office, Governor Kathy Hochul. Hochul called the charges a very serious matter, but has not indicated whether or not she'll act to remove the mayor.
We have a great chief executive in this state, and I'm going to continue to dialogue with her throughout this entire weekend and going into next week.
Adams pleaded not guilty to federal charges accusing him of taking bribes and illegal campaign donations from Turkish nationals. The mayor's attorney outside court said his client is innocent.
We'll be filing a motion to dismiss. We expect these charges to be dismissed. This case isn't even a real case. This is the airline upgrade corruption case.
Due process. While the attorneys handle the due process, I'm going to handle the management of the city.
And the mayor...
It's a good line. It's the flight upgrade corruption case, right? It makes it sound like it's much ado about nothing because it kind of is, right? This is low-level corruption. It's corruption, no doubt about it. But I don't have, in my mind, a belief that other politicians are not doing this all the time. In fact, I think it's everywhere in New York. We saw AOC had her dress problem where she had to pay that bill back and was kind of trying not to pay that thing or whatever happened there. And you imagine that politicians get hotel upgrades and flight upgrades and lots of stuff. So why Mayor Adams? Why now is a curious question. A lot of interesting things happening out of the Southern District of New York. We also have Freak Off Central happening here with Diddy's indictment. We had Ghislaine Maxwell's indictment here. Trump's been prosecuted here. The list has gone on and on and on, although Trump's cases were civil out of this jurisdiction. But Mayor Adams now filing a motion to dismiss. He says this whole thing's a joke. This is it? This is all you've got here? Here's what he says. Now, this indictment in this case alleges a bribery scheme that does not even meet the definition of bribery and doesn't even amount to a federal crime at all. Just 3 months ago, the Supreme Court rebuked the DOJ for adopting, quote, an unfathomable interpretation of a federal program bribery statute, 666A1B, that, quote, would leave state and local officials entirely at sea to guess about what gifts they're allowed to accept under federal law, with the threat of up to 10 years in federal prison if they happen to guess it wrong. It's like, what the heck? Now, as the court told prosecutors back then, that's not how federal criminal law works. You're not supposed to have to guess about what's legal and not. But here goes the department again. It appears that after years of casting about for anything, to support a federal charge against Mayor Adams, prosecutors had finally settled on a theory that depended on the DOJ's longstanding view that Section 666 criminalizes gratuities, including gifts meant to curry favor with governmental officials, but not linked to any specific question or matter, right? So in other words, I'm not being bribed for anything. Now, when the Supreme Court rejected that interpretation in June, prosecutors simply added a few vague allegations and called their theory bribery. Far more serious offense than gratuities, right? So it's not about tips anymore. It's now bribery. They said, but they can't just change the words. Okay, the concepts are the same. The government's makeover doesn't work. The indictment does not allege that Adams agreed to perform any official act at the time he received a benefit. Rather, it alleges only that while serving as the Brooklyn Borough president, not the mayor, not even the mayor-elect, he agreed generally to assist with the operation or regulation of a Turkish consulate building in Manhattan, where he had no authority whatsoever, in exchange for travel benefits, aka upgrades, to vacant class business seats and a car ride to a restaurant. Oh, they paid for an Uber one time. Great. That extraordinarily vague allegation encompasses a wide array of normal and perfectly lawful acts that many city officials would undertake for the consulate of an important foreign nation, such as arranging meetings with regulators, offering advice about how to navigate the city bureaucracy, and referring diplomatic personnel to attorneys who handle this stuff. Now, although the indictment alleges at one point that then Borough President Adams sent 3 messages to the FDNY commissioner about a building permit that the consulate needed in time for a visit for the president of Turkey, it conspicuously does not allege that he agreed ex ante to take that specific action in exchange for the benefits that he got, right? So the flight upgrades is not connected to any performance of anything specific. That was not a drafting oversight. Okay, they left out that connection because there wasn't a connection. The zealous prosecutors who secured the indictment would have alleged that kind of specific agreement if there was actually evidence, but they don't. And they know that Adams never entered into any such agreement at all. He was being nice and they were being nice, and it wasn't a quid pro quo. And at any rate, even if the government could justifiably allege that Adams had agreed to receive benefits in exchange for assisting with the permitting matter, the 3 innocuous messages that Adams allegedly sent to the commissioner fall far short of any kind of, quote, official act that's necessary for bribery. And so the bribery count should be dismissed. Now, to be sure, the remaining counts in the indictment, which all relate to the so-called straw campaign donations on behalf of the foreign nationals. Remember, they alleged that he was going around and using a party, like buy a table. Hey, you own a construction company. I own a construction company. Can I give you, Mayor Adams, $100,000? No. But why don't you bring 20 employees over here and you can all break it up and give us stuff individually? He says, great. Or other foreigners like Turkish people. Saying all this are meritless. They rest on a host of false claims evidently attributable to a self-interested staffer with an axe to grind, just one person, which will be revealed in the course of the litigation. But with respect to the bribery, the deficiencies in their indictment are clear. The federal rules entitle Adams to a swift dismissal of this charge. Here's the background. They say, all right, listen, in September, the government unsealed an indictment that accuses Adams of getting travel perks and accepting straw donor donations from the Turkish community. They state that there are 5 counts and 4 offenses. Conspiracy, okay. Wire fraud, soliciting campaign contributions, and bribery. Now, the allegations supporting a bribery charge are in these paragraphs, 10 paragraphs, and this one, and they relate to a Turkish consulate building in Manhattan known as the Turkish House. Now, for the reasons that are not apparent, they say, says this defense attorney, which I like this attitude here. Perhaps it's just sloppiness. We don't know. Prosecutors can be sloppy. The indictment describes the alleged quid pro quo in two different ways. Either, one, Adams accepted travel benefits from a senior official and others in exchange for helping them build this consulate, or he accepted travel benefits in exchange for intending to be influenced in connection with the regulation. Now, despite the fact that the indictment reproduces quotes from messages, emails, conversations, it doesn't allege any specific exchanges or conversations where they entered into this quid pro quo agreement. So it's like a lot of talking in circles. And of course, they say he deleted a bunch of messages. Instead, the agreement is only alleged in conclusory terms, but you don't have the evidence of the agreement. You just have the conversations of what happened before and what happened afterwards. Now, the indictment alleges that between the summer of 2021 and 22, Adams solicited or accepted travel benefits. Here are the benefits. In June, he went to Istanbul, free lodging. Then he met with the Turkish official and airport, hotel, and airport lounge. He also got an upgrade to Ghana, 9-hour layover in Istanbul. Then he communicated about upgrades for close associates, but they don't allege that he ever took any regulatory action himself. There's a facility that's located in Manhattan. It was outside of his authority entirely. The only actual conduct alleged in connection with bribery is about a building permit, saying that he apparently pressured the New York fired people to issue a temporary certificate of occupancy. Now, this pressure apparently was 3 text messages. This is all he said. He said they needed a letter of defect from the FDNY to the Department of Business, a building. They really need someone by today if possible. If it's possible, let me know and I'll manage their expectations, right? He's saying, I'll let them know. They said the higher-ups at the FDNY did not give the inspector authorization to come. The inspector indicated he needs authority to come. And ultimately, they wrote the letter to issue the order. But that's all. He sent 3 messages. That's it. So this indictment must need to fail. An indictment must be dismissed if it fails to allege facts that are even prosecutable. Here, there's no particularity. We don't even know what they're charging. The court should dismiss count 5, the bribery one specifically. The indictment does not sufficiently allege that he got actual benefits for performing the acts. Bribery is punishment if you solicit and you accept anything of value to be influenced, intending to be influenced. But that hasn't happened here. The statute only prohibits bribes, okay, not gratuities. And the Supreme Court does not extend this to gratuities. Gratuities may violate state and local ethics rules, but gratuities don't apply to Section 666. That's for clear bribery, and bribery requires more evidence of bribery. Gratuities come in 2 forms. Something given after the fact as a thanks, something given with a non-specific intent to curry favor. And that's from the DOJ's own manual, you loser prosecutors. And second, like other federal bribery statutes, federal program bribery requires the defendant to agree to perform an official act. That's what SCOTUS has said. Indeed, even 3 dissenting justices agreed that the statute requires some official act, as even Justice Jackson said. Yeah, it does criminalize bribe, but we haven't been really clear on what a bribe requires. She called it a quid pro quo, which means in exchange for an official act. That is not here. Accordingly, the Second Circuit has said that an official act standard does not apply to 666. And under the first requirement, setting up a meeting, hosting an event, or calling, so they're going to give us 2 different interpretations of this and say none of them meet this. Simply expressing support for a course of action is not a quid pro quo. And under the second requirement, as even the Second Circuit said, at the time the bribe is made, the official act must relate to the bribe, which hasn't happened here. These 4 requirements rest on the Constitution. For that reason, even if the contours of an official act differed, it doesn't apply here. This court should dismiss bribery because the indictment does not even allege a quid pro quo. Just saying they did a bunch of nice things for each other. It alleges only that Adams agreed to assist in the operation. By their words, their charging words. That's it? Assist in the operation? Those vague allegations don't identify any concrete or specific exercise of governmental power at all. And they would at any rate encompass a variety of routine activities that don't qualify as official acts anyways. Setting up meetings, relaying information. The only specific acts in the indictment that they allege are 3 messages that Adams sent for the purpose of getting the FDNY to get them a fire approval. The indictment doesn't allege the sine qua non of bribery, which is the key element, the solicitation or acceptance of something of value in exchange for an official act. And so anything else that is alleged is just too vague and it's too broad. The factual allegations state vaguely that Adams agreed to accept travel benefits like seat upgrades and car rides in exchange for assisting Turkish people. The indictment statutory allegations state, somewhat inconsistently but also vaguely, that the agreed upon act was some unspecified activity. Don't even know what it was. They're too general. They don't specify specific and focused crimes that allow you to even defend them. And even if those allegations were specific, what does this mean? Assistance, operation, regulation, giving general opinions? That's illegal? Even hosting an event? These deficiencies in the government's allegations are deepened by the fact that the indictment minimizes that Adams was not even the mayor. He was not even the mayor-elect when this Turkish house stuff was going on. He was a Brooklyn borough president. As the indictment itself makes clear, Adams had no authority with respect to the consulate. The building's located in Manhattan, not even in Brooklyn. Although Adams was a candidate for mayor at the time, a mere aspirant to public office cannot exercise the powers of that office. He had no jurisdiction to even engage in the quid pro quo. It is therefore little wonder that the indictment fails to allege that Adams agreed to take official action. He couldn't. He had no authority to do it. Now, accordingly, the alleged agreement here, travel benefits in exchange for assisting with the operation, is insufficient to support federal bribery. And so the indictment does not even allege that he agreed to influence the building permit. They say he accepted upgraded tickets and he obtained his fundraising travel perks, but the indictment doesn't say anything about accepting that in exchange for anything specifically. And the permit matter didn't even arise until later. So those benefits were clearly not in exchange for that thing. They were just nice favors that everybody was doing for each other. So it's insufficient to say this is an official act. It was currying favor. It's a gratuity. It's not a bribe. And so the indictment also alleges that after the permit matter was resolved, Adams got another upgrade and a 9-hour upgrade. But he got that after the thing. So again, it was not connected. So nowhere in the indictment does it say that Adams agreed to take this in exchange for a specific benefit. To be sure, the lead-in paragraph to the factual allegations related to the bribery count states that Adams intervened with the FDNY, but it's clear from the specific allegations that it was only a general agreement. There was no any specific agreement about the permit, not even arisen yet. And without any other promise to intervene, there's simply no bribery. Were it otherwise, elected officials who make promises to donors to assist on broad policy objectives, like reducing regulatory red tape or anything else, they could all be liable for bribery. That's not right. Now, finally, the indictment says that Adams took additional actions in exchange for travel benefit, but only identifies one: putting the general manager of a Turkish airline on a transition committee. We remember that. But the indictment does not claim that the exchange was related to regulation of the Turkish house, and so doesn't fall into any of the criminal counts. At any rate, the indictment does not explain how the mayor-elect's appointment of a private citizen to a transition committee is a governmental power problem or the use of an official position at all. So beyond that one allegation, the indictment generally alleges that Adams continued his agreement with this Turkish official, but they don't say he took any action alone at all in 2022. The only claim is that he said something like, all your pending problems with that building will help you with. but no allegations that they actually acted on anything. It's way too generalized, and so it's not bribery. In short, the indictment alleges only that Adams agreed to accept benefits in exchange for operations or regulations of the Turkish house. And so there is no official act element of bribery there, and so count 5 has to go. Now, the mayor's messages to the commissioner were not even official acts. Even if the indictment had adequately alleged an agreement for Adams to receive benefits, the 3 messages are not an official act. There can be no question Adams did not even direct himself to open the place. None of the messages order them to do anything, nor could Adams have done so, okay? He was the Brooklyn borough president. He had no regulatory power over the FDNY at the time. And while the indictment asserts that he had authority under the New York City Charter to affect the administration, the generic examples that it provides have nothing to do with the FDNY, much less the permitting process. And so given that Adams lacked any actual power, he did not exert pressure because he couldn't. None of Adams' messages remotely convey any threats. He was trying to figure this out. A reasonable fact finder could construe that the statements were not official to do anything. There were no threats, no emphatic language at all. He indicated that it was urgent. You know, they really need something done today, but it's not official. He made it clear he was not pressuring them. And so there is accordingly nothing about this case to distinguish it from any situation where an official raises an issue with another official who's not under his control. Happens every day. So we can't call this political pressure. Adams made non-committal responses. The indictment alleges that the commissioner himself threatens that subordinates would lose their jobs, but that's not Adams making that threat. If the commissioner's making that threat, that's not Adams. And so this pressure theory is from the government. They're effectively claiming that Adams used his, quote, potential future position because they knew this guy might be big in New York politics, but that's not official. Although Adams happened to be running for mayor and was maybe likely going to become the mayor, he still wasn't. The bribery count suffers from fundamental problems that have long plagued the DOJ's aggressive targeting of prominent public officials, a sweeping view of federal statutes that criminalizes routine conduct and replaces ethical rules with criminal law. The consequences is a lack of fair notice to the defendants of a highly selective enforcement on display here. The court should dismiss the bribery count for failure to allege a crime. Great motion from Alex Spiro and William Burke. And that's a good one. And I think this is exactly right, actually. I mean, the indictments that we've been seeing out of the Southern District of New York have been crap, honestly. The Eric Adams indictment was garbage. What? Like flight upgrades? That's what you're getting this dude on? At least Menendez and like straw donors. Every politician is doing straw donors in America. Just look at Act Blue. It's mostly fake. So why did they come after Adams? Even the Diddy indictment is mostly a joke. And I'm sure they're going to expand that maybe with the superseding indictment at some point. But you're going back 20, 30 years for Diddy, calling it a conspiracy case for trafficking an adult prostitute across state lines. Like adult people. That's the indictment. Now, at the freak-off parties, there are much worse allegations happening there, but it's not in the indictment. I mean, some of it is, but not as charged conduct, as criminal charges. So the SDNY is strange jurisdiction. And Adams filed a very good motion to dismiss, and we're looking forward to seeing what the prosecutors say in response to this, but we'll keep our eye on it. Thanks for subscribing, as we do. All right, my friends, let's see what you say about all of this. It is a beautiful Monday, and what the heck are all these giant donos doing here? Coming in from Zulu. Let's see what you guys say about all this and more. It's a beautiful day. I see Donuts clipping for us. What's up, Donut? In the house. We got John McGarvey's in the house. Man, you guys rock. We had 3 good segments on the day, and we got some nice donos. Thank you guys for sending these in. What's up? CF Rob is over on Rumble. CF Rob is in the house. He came in and said the following. said they didn't indict the CIA, FBI, DHS, and DOJ. Darn it, they indicted the wrong people who are trying to take out Trump and blame it on foreign countries because they want to support foreign war. Indeed. Thank you, Rob, for that one. They love foreign war. It's like their main event. James Butler, what's up, James? Bringing in 5 new membos. American Dreamer. Hey, American Dreamer, I saw you yesterday on Joe's show. And shout out to our friend Good Logic. Joe Neerman invited us over to his house last night on YouTube, and we got to hang out and chat with his friends and some other people on LawTube and elsewhere. It was a lot of fun. So thank you to Joe, Good Logic. Congrats on 100K. We had a ton of fun, and it was a great stream. And it was great to see some other familiar faces over there. What's up, James Butler? And American Dreamer was over there. Albert White, what's up? Space Baby, welcome. Kyrelia Bernhardt in the house. And 40 Railmen, gifted membos, courtesy of James Butler, bringing in 5 new membos. Hey, Jack Mack, what's up, Jack? Great to see you. Happy Monday. Bringing in 5 new membos, being a membo. Damon Walker in the house. Michael L., Michael Burris, Rebecca Everett, and James McKay, gifted membos, courtesy of our friend Jack Mack. Thank you, Jack. Great to see you. And here was another one from Rob. Says, get John Glenn on the Apollo rocket to the moon. Have him deliver the indictment and arrest the hackers located on the moon. Can we send illegal aliens to the moon or to Mars? Does Elon need some volunteers? I don't know. That sounds kind of like a cool trip, though. I don't know. Norman says, Rob, you are the hardest working man on YouTube. I don't know about that. Says, amazing focus and wherewithal. My new song, Trump 2024, Save America Again, is live on Spotify and Apple Music. Whoa! That sounds awesome. Norman Lee Smith Music. So check that out, my friend. Save America Again, live on Spotify, Apple Music. Look up Norman Lee Smith Music. And Norman, thanks for that. Congratulations on a new release. We'll have to check it out and listen to it. I'm sure it's amazing. Shout outs. We do need to save America again. Hey, Jack. What's up, Jack Mack? Another one. Very nice dono. Thank you, Jack. Says, you know, you'd think anyone in those U.S. departments that would exercise more diligence before proceeding with an email from unfamiliar people claiming to be Israelis. Inefficient annual cybersecurity training. It's embarrassing for our government. It really is. It really is pretty bad. You're like, Dubai? I'd love to go. Wait, this is weird. I have to input my State Department top secret credentials. Okay, well, if I have to, guess I'll do it. Scary thought. And that's the infiltration that they know about. Like, what about the real sophisticated ones that don't require you to go to, you know, some fake spoofed website, like the real hacking that you don't know about? Not those 3 dudes in Iran in some bedroom somewhere. Hey, Gloria B says, don't forget to like and share this video, my friends. Good reminder, Gloria. Happy Monday, everyone. Thought dinner was ready, but forgot to turn my oven on. Oh, well, 30 minutes is nothing. Yeah, it's better late than never. I mean, hey, when that happens. Sheila Poo, a million hugs to you. Thank you, Sheila. Look at this. We got 5 membos coming in, courtesy of Sheila. Lucidin in the house. Burnt Cheddar. Andy Hansis, Chalky81, and Going Insane, gifted membos, courtesy of Sheila Poo. A million hugs to you. Happy Monday, Sheila. Thanks for bringing them in. Hey, Damon is pronounced demon. Well, then why do they have the A in there? Well, explain that one to me there, Jack. Thanks, Jack. Hey, what's up? Former LEO says, easy peasy. Just contact the Mossad and offer them like $25 million to fix the problem. Like I said, easy peasy. Oh, I see. They can reverse it. Are you saying that because it was them? I don't know. Former. That's an interesting thought. Maybe it was. Sheila Poo says, OMG, Hillary thinks we are stupid. The only MSM that even mildly supports Trump is Fox. And you're right. It's mild. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, etc. They're all blatantly the mouthpiece of the Democratic Party. Right. And throw in the print media too. Axios, Politico, New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, list goes on and on. And they blame the right. Actually, Mark Cuban was saying the right has control of the media. These people are lunatics. Hey, Jack, what's up? Says, I don't think Pizzagate is funny. The day people stop hearing things and automatically believing the media or the government is the day we should all be very worried about our society. Hillary is obsessed with hating Trump. Yeah, it's not funny. No, I mean, it's not funny. I think Pizzagate has been, it's symbolic of a real issue, which obviously is child trafficking, which is real and happens every single day. And so people were looking into that, and then they turned it into, I think there's a phrase for that, like where they capture and exploit that phrase. So now, they turn it into like a bad phrase because that guy was going to go shoot somebody or something. So, we can't talk about government-enabled PDF files. And Hillary should just stop asking about it. And there's weird stuff going on with her own husband on Epstein's Island. So, yeah. And she hates Trump. You can't blame her, though, because he stole from her everything she ever wanted, which was the presidency. And she'll never be the president, ever. Oh, that sucks for Hillary. Chubby says Hillary is resurrecting the QAnon conspiracies, literally trying to repeat old election playbooks. Yeah, it's a good one, Chubby. Knox says, happy Monday, all. The PDF file symbols are real. Yeah, cheese, pizza, community. There's a lot to that, right? Like the people who say that's all just total madness or whatever. No, there's pizza. It's on Instagram, right? This is from the Daily Mail. Using cheese pizza emojis, communicating secretly on Instagram, like they talk in code. There's more there to it. And the symbols, right? The symbols were showing up in like FBI literature and stuff. Yeah. So what's more crazy? That our elite maniac leaders are honorable people who don't do anything bad and have our interests at heart, or that's not the opposite of that, right? Which one's more likely? We know. Tony Hay Munkets. What's up, Tony Hay? Bringing in new membos. Thanks for bringing in 10 of them. Blah is here. Cindy DeTore. Kane coming in. Melissa's here. Deborah Corolla. Mimi's Tea Time. James Butler, what's up? Chris Culp. Debbie DeSantis is here. Timmy Waring. XRP Panic. Gifted membos, courtesy of our friend Tony Hay Munkets in the house. Thank you for that, Tony Hay Munkets. Burnt sienna, says Jennifer, is Rob's color. Is that what this is? Burnt sienna? It's a really fashionable color. Burnt sienna. Hey, here's one. I don't know what this one is. Here's one. More. Here's a nice gift from Donut. This one says, this is this little kid buried in the sand saying more. All right, here's one for More Here. What's up, More Here? 10 membos coming in. Mrs. Hayes, Brian Berthold, Elliot Johnson, MTS Anonymous is here. Bayou Dreams, the Right Honorable, I Told You So is here. Katie Ravert, Wayne Ross, what's up, Piper Lynn? Bravo 6 coming in, all gifted, courtesy of our friend More Here. Bringing in More Here. Thank you, More Here. First Amendment says, this is family safe, Rob. John Kerry comments on the First Amendment. We played this morning. Yeah, let's remember, when listening to Kerry, Steele dossier, 51 intelligence officers, COVID lockdown, wet market origin, many more, I think Kerry referred to all of us as sick. Yeah, we played this morning, First Amendment, on the Membos Only morning stream, which will be released as a segment later. But yeah, Kerry's saying we essentially got to get rid of the First Amendment because it's too dang dangerous. They can't create consensus if we can think freely. They don't like that. Hey, it's the Munkets. What's up, Tony Hay? Bringing in 10 more membos. Thank you, Tony. Look at this. Kim Smith is here. Funkadelic in the house. Amanda Franklin. Summers Walkabout. Free is here. Mr. T. Simon Crossland. Chris JJ. What's up? Mars Soul and Annie in the house. Gifted membos courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. Jack Mack says, I'm personally getting very tired of these three witches running the state of Michigan. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Michigan's rough. Arizona's rough too. We're in the same boat. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Hey, Crash. What's up, Crash? Says, Rob, this tip is for a comment I posted. Let's see. Let's see what we have here. Said, Rob, here's my chat from my very generous super chat. Thank you, Crash. Says, Rob, there are a number of important issues that we agree on. Most important among those are freedom and our most effective path forward to maintaining and or reacquiring our individual and collective freedom. We may differ on the margins, but at the core, like the vast majority of the Watcher fam, we are peas in a pod. Now, Joe of Good Logic's panel last night, shout out to Joe, solidified the deep need to earnestly strive towards that goal. The black pill segment, it was out there, cemented that need for me. I have held and stated here 4 times, win or lose the election, the left will unleash the dogs on us with a vengeance. I am a patriarch. My house is 4 sons, their 4 wives, and a total 7 grandchildren. Congratulations on your beautiful family. And the extended family of 3 more sons who are mine by proxy and their wives and kids. Incredible. Now, the time has come to turn my attentions inwards. I have 2 construction projects, one local, one out of state, and 2 other non-construction projects looming. The one-legged man in a butt-kicking match comes to mind. Now, these 4 projects will consume most of my hours, ergo, most of my watching the Watchers will be viewing streams recorded and posted. I fully intend to view live when I can, but for the coming months, it's nose to the grindstone. What a nice comment. And thank you for describing your family to us. I think that is amazing that you've built that and you value that as you do. We would love to see you crash and give us an update on what you're building. Don't know exactly what you're doing, but when you can stop by from time to time, we'd love to see it. I'm sure it's going to turn out beautifully. We will miss you, but we do understand that life calls and you must be out there accomplishing the things that you must accomplish. And we'll be here when you get back, Crash, and we'll continue on. We'll miss you during the lives, but we'll be here when you're ready for us. Thanks for the nice dono, Crash, and looking forward to what you're building. Hey, Donut is clipping for us. Tony Hay Munkets gifted 5 membos. Jeffrey D's coming in. Phil R's here. Eric's Fishing Adventures, welcome. Isaac Space Jesus is here. And Feline Fun, gifted membos in the house. We've got more here. Give me more here is here with 10 more membos coming in. What's up, more here? Thanks for this one. Snoopy Sin coming in. Ted Sco. Bartman XOXO Harsh Time 777 in the house. S Mags is here. M Buffy V. Ash Can2. Ann Beer. Ann Schneckloth. Not Gullible's here. And Patricia Puleski. Gifted membos courtesy of More Here. Give me more here. John McGarvey, 26 months as a membo. Wow, that was fast. Membo for 26 months. Thanks, John, for modding down the fort for us and for being an amazing membo. Says the Rescue the Republic event has already been banned from YouTube. I watched some of that, I think on X. I saw Jordan Peterson was there with Russell Brand was there. Yeah, it looked like a great event. But, of course, YouTube banned it. Makes sense. Patriot Rob says, I'm from Michigan, and let me start with who the hell does she think she is? All election law should be set in the state and federal constitution. This country needs to get this under control. Preach, Patriot Rob. Preach. Yeah. I'm tired of the executive branch usurping the legislature. It's the most anti-democratic thing that's happening, and they're allowing it every election cycle. Sheila Poo, a million hugs to you, bringing in 5 more membos. Kevin Bodeman, Brutally Honest. We got Cap Dabs, Big Boy Blue, and She Will, gifted membos from the one and only Sheila Poo. A million hugs to you. Thank you, Sheila. This one from Patriot Rob says, so the way I hear that is to heck with anybody that needs a medical procedure done. Let's worry about getting them registered regardless. From Patriot Rob. Yeah. Oh, at the VA center is what you're saying. At the VA center. Ollie, what's up, Ollie, is in the house. Bringing in a bunch of new membos. 5 more coming in. B. Pettingill. Lynchpin is here. Gerp Snot is here. Joshua Knows It All. And Dagny Taggart, what's up? From Atlas Shrugged in the house. Welcome aboard. All of our new friends, courtesy of Ollie, in the house. We got Zulu. Okay, Zulu is here running a critical test for us. It's a very lucrative test for us. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm liking it. Zulu. Okay, so here's the progression from Zulu. Zulu says $2 equals 50 characters. $5 equals 150 characters. $10 equals 200 characters. And you're probably thinking, where is this going? $20 equals 225 characters. $50 equals 250 characters. And we're not done yet, my friends. 100 equals 270 characters that Zulu doesn't even need to utilize. Don't even need those characters. And then finally, $200 is 290 characters. Zulu says diminishing return on characters crashed before this. Zulu, thank you so much for this very important critical test. Now we have this data. I got to say, though, that's all you get. Like, that's it. It's $40. $50 gets you 40 characters. That's it. $50 gets you another 40 characters between 100 and 2. So 290. Wait a minute. 290 to 100. It's only, that's what you're saying, I think. It's only 70 additional characters. It's 20 additional characters for $100 is what you're saying between those two. What on earth? That's it? That's the most expensive. Yeah. It should go the other way. Like, if you spend $200, you should be able to write a novel if you want, you know, kind of a thing. Zulu, thank you so much, my friend. And that's a really actually interesting experiment. There's actually, why do they do that? It should go the other way around. It should be like $2 is like 5 characters. Like, make it count. It's be like loser, you know, 5 character loser. That's it. Like, all right, you made it count. But then it just goes up from there, right? And then when you get up to like $200, it should be like, I don't know, post whatever you want kind of a thing, you know, because that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot. Zulu, thank you for that. Really appreciative. Thanks for testing it. I love these tests. If anybody else wants to test this, feel free. Maybe it's different for you. Don't know. You never know unless you test it. So it's just kidding. Thank you, Zulu. Really a fun one. Awesome. Thank you so much for being a mod. Thanks for being a lot of fun and for being a membo for so long and for supporting us on all the ways. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it works for other people too. I don't know. Try it out. I don't know. I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you, Zulu. Hey, what's up? Okay. We had some other great donos in the house and we have, making sure I'm not missing any of them. Hey, what's this? Hey, K-Bean, 31 months, K-Bean, 31 months. Oh my gosh, that's a long time. Yeah, we've seen some serious business. Or you can do a free milestone chat, just as good. Yeah, just as, well, not quite as good, but I still value them. 31 months, I value everybody here all equally, but some more than others. What's up? We've got, thank you, K-Bean, for modding the fort down for us. 31 months. How many babies is that? Someone do the math. I don't know. I can't count it. But K-Bean, we love you. Thank you so much, K-Bean. It's a good one. Here's this one. Chubby says, I didn't mean to imply QAnon was a joke, just that it's not been a talking point since the Hillary versus Trump election. Yeah, I didn't get that impression. I think they try to make any dissenting viewpoints, any narratives that are not their own, excommunicated, right? Part of the crazies, part of the conspiracy land. 3 1/4 babies. That's a lot. It's over 3 babies. I should have known that part at least, but what's up? Hey, it's the Munkets is in the house. Tony Hay bringing in one new membo. Old drill sergeant is coming in. And Gloria, hallelujah, is here. Bringing in one new membo. Shrug65 got gifted a membo. Elvis of Dallas is in the house. What's up, Elvis of Dallas? Bringing in 5 new membos. Thank you, Elvis of Dallas. And Elvis, I saw you join on Locals too. Thanks for joining on Locals. I appreciate that a lot. RoboCat, what's up? Eek coming in. Barb W, what's up? Proxy Loxy, Prospering Woman, gifted membos. All courtesy of Elvis of Dallas. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Elvis. Really great to see you. We've got this one. Gloria B, 2 new babies in the house. That's right, 18 months as a membo. That's 2 full babies. That's how long that is. It's unbelievable. Look at this. 2 babies in the house, courtesy of Gloria B. Thank you, Gloria, for being a membo for 18 months. Lots of fun. All right, let's see who's joining us over on Thank you, Dallas. Elvis of Dallas says, thanks for letting me help, brother. Thank you for that. Thank you, Elvis. Really, really nice to see you. Yeah, it's really a lot of fun. All right, so we've got, let's see what's happening over on X before we call it a day and go over to locals. Ollie says, here's the conclusion with the DNC blocking Stein and Cornell. DNC blocking Stein and Cornell. Oh, from the ballots. I don't know how that is settled out in all the different states, but I think in Wisconsin and in Michigan, I do know that RFK is going to be on the ballots there. So we're also talking about RFK. Yeah, it would be good to have a nice location for all of those litigation updates. I don't think there is a good one. It's kind of ad hoc. We're just following them along as we learn about them. But thank you for that one, Ollie. And this one, hey, we had some other donos come in. Thank you, Donut, for sending these in. Brian Bishop over on YouTube says, Mayor Adams is getting the Republican treatment. Absolutely. I don't know what exactly he did, but they are taxing him just like they're doing with Diddy. Thank you, Brian. Jack Mack says, seems like there's a fine line being a creative and innovative lawyer and an unethical, corrupt lawyer. I think the missing factor is integrity. I doubt Mayor Adams did much different than many mayors. Yeah, I don't know where that line is or what, why people have different interpretations of that type of stuff. But from my perspective, if you're a public official or an elected official, you should be beyond reproach. It should not even be questionable. Like if you're a judge or, you're the business owner, like you should be beyond reproach. Shouldn't even be questioned. And I would like to go back to a time when that was more the standard. Now everybody feels like they're in it for themselves, right? It's just kind of like, what can I get? Like public service is supposed to be out serving the public, not about yourself. And many of these people think that they're just little celebrities and they are in it to puff up their own careers and stuff like that. And it's not, it's just distasteful. But I would agree. I think that there's probably much bigger problems out there than Mayor Adams getting some flight upgrades, truthfully. And I think that there's systemic corruption in our political system and it's not Mayor Adams, right? He's like, Mayor Adams, he's the problem of everything. Okay. Knox says, the charges against Adam do appear pretty lean. Dems do eat their own, though, a la Biden, Cuomo, etc. Knox is a defense attorney in Texas. Yeah, they seem relative to his position. And I get the straw donor stuff. I get he deleted a bunch of stuff. But if everybody got the Adams standard, I feel like they'd be indicting a bunch of people. And I know that the response to that as well. Aren't you happy they at least got one corrupt politician? Yeah, kind of, but it feels like it's selective. Like, why don't they go after, more of them, including the people who are in the DOJ themselves? Like, they never go after themselves. Go after the DOJ if you want some corrupt people. Are they all beyond reproach? I doubt it. Hey, Fred Pedamonte says Spiro was Alec Baldwin's attorney and got it dismissed. Yeah, he's good. And the other guy who is on this is also very good. This guy, and this is a conservative guy too, by the way. This William Burke guy down here, I forget whose attorney he was. I think like Bannon's or somebody. Like this guy's no joke either, William Burke. So he's got some really good lawyers. That's Baldwin's lawyer, and Burke is another like conservative super lawyer on the right. So it's good. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so my friends, thank you so much for sending those in. Those were amazing. Sheila Poo is bringing in even more membos. Oh my gosh, man, you guys are amazing. Look, Jack Mack is here. What's up, Jack? Says Rob's wearing my favorite shirt again. You like this one? Yeah, this is a pretty good one. And what did you call it? Burnt sienna? Burnt sienna? Is that what it is? Taupe? Burnt taupe? I don't know what it is. Thank you, Jack. I like this one too. It's a pretty good one. Sheila Poo, 5 more membos coming in. Gerard Thomas, welcome. Chris Howard, come on in. Samantha Richardson, on board. Harlan Remy, welcome. William Linz in the house, courtesy of Sheila Poo. A million hugs to you. Thank you, Sheila, for bringing in the new membos. Ollie says, when is your Joe Rogan interview? Get it going. It reminds me, I have to get back to Joe. He keeps bothering me. He's like, hey, you want to come on the show anytime? I'm like, well, I'm pretty busy, Joe. Like, we have our show here to do, and so I'm thinking about it. I'll let you know if I decide to go on Joe Rogan one day. Hey, what's up, CGI Joe? 5 membos coming in. CGI Joe in the house. Bringing in Bot Zero, Christine McBride, NC November Girl. We got Azure Sky, Frazzle Says in the house. And we're very glad to have you, CGI Joe. Thanks for bringing in 5 new membos in the house. Spud says, I even had my tracksuit and my matching tight-fitting polo shirt on for Joe's stream last night. It was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good stream. We talked about a lot of things. And the tracksuit and the polo comment did come up. It was good. Hey, what's up? Acid Burn says, God save the king of presidents. President Trump. God save the king. Radice says, I have seen this shirt before. It's a bit loose. Has someone cut your polo budget in half? You need a prenup that allows unlimited schmedium polo shirts. Yeah, this one fits a little. So it's a Travis Matthews medium. All right. Officially. And this fits a little bit looser. But now that you've commented on it, I'll make sure to use a staple gun and shrink it up for tomorrow. Thank you, Radice. Polo budget. No, polo budget is staying the same. Polo budget is non-discretionary. Okay, that doesn't get cut. Obviously, that sticks around forever. And the polo shirt increase budget is going up because of some of the small comment shirts. We're getting smaller polos. Yeah, that's what happens here. Yeah, it's getting smaller every time there's a small polo shirt comment. Yeah. Former says, I guess that don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country doesn't apply anymore. JFK, rest in peace. It's true. It's like, what can my country get me on an airline? Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what your country can get you on a cruise line. If you're a Fulton County DA, something like that. It's not as inspirational as JFK, but it's true. It's what's happening. So okay, you get the point. All right, what's up? Barb, what's up, Barb? Says, I'm wondering if you know what the implications are now of the Executive Order 13848 with respect to foreign election interference. Biden renewed it last month. I recall somewhere that it authorizes military interdiction. The ability, I don't know what the implications are. Including the unauthorized, I don't know. I guess it's hard to say what. I'm sure it opens up a broad variety of possibilities. I don't know exactly which implications you're talking about, but I'm sure there are implications. Hey, Tennessee National Guards going to the Middle East on Sunday. That sounds great. Sure, that's going to be fruitful. What's up, Fred? Says, the DOJ is now making me be on Eric Adams' side. Help. I know. Tell me about it. And these are the weirdest cases. It's because, I don't like corrupt Democrats or corrupt politicians. But the DOJ is, filled with corrupt politicians and corrupt prosecutors. And I don't like bullies at all. Don't like Eric Adams, but I don't like bullies. And the DOJ and the SDNY are bullies. So they are lower on the respect totem pole than Mayor Adams gets. And we also have the presumption of innocence in this country. And so he also deserves that as well. Now, what's up? Monica Hendricks says censorship will rain down if Kamala wins. Cyrilla says, watch Robert, man. Excellent podcast. Very informative. Brandy Coffee says hey, what's up? We're sick of the witches out there. Hey, a nice sign. Get your signs out, my friends. Get your signs out. And wear those MAGA hats, baby. Because it's crunch time. We're 30 days left and this thing's coming up soon. All right. So my friends, thank you so much for those amazing comments, those very supportive donos, the most intelligent conversation and astute observation that we've ever seen in internet live streaming history. I never learned about burnt sienna. Now we know. Okay, so my friends, thank you so much for being here. Really, thank you for all the generous donos. Very fun stream. Lots of good stuff that we covered today. If you just missed us, if you just are joining us, we talked about the Iranian hackers. They've been indicted. Big Gretch Rona is trying to keep things in Michigan the way they are, which enables her to create voter registration sites wherever she wants them. And Mayor Adams now filing a motion to dismiss his case because he's being bullied by the DOJ. And so that will be a fun one to continue to cover. But my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. We are going to leave it there. We're going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. CGI Joe just gifted some more membos as we're wrapping it up. Thank you, CGI Joe. Bringing in M.I. Hutch, J.M. Sparger, somebody else, Rebecca Caraway, and Jen McDavid. Gifted membos courtesy of our friend CGI Joe. And so, thank you so much for joining us, my friends. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com, which is where we have our members only after party. We debrief there. We do some extra comments. YouTube members, if you became a YouTube member and you want to join us on the after party, grab the Telegram link. It's in the community tab section on YouTube. Download Telegram. We'll see you over there. We also, for our members, we do members only streams in the morning. So if you want to get some extra content, talk about some of the other things that we can't get to here, like the election, Middle East stuff, and other things, that's where we talk about it in the mornings. For membos, 6 days a week, including Saturday streams. We'd love to have you become a membo. It's a great way to support our work here, and it's a great way to meet other membos out there and develop that community connection, baby. It's what it's all about. So we are going over there, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. YouTube members, join us on Telegram. Otherwise, my friends, we will be back here tomorrow to get into all of this again. I want to thank the amazing mods who helped us mod the fort down today. John McGarvey, Donut, Carrie B, K Bean clipping for us. I know playing hookies in the chat. We had Zulu in the house donating and testing our super chat functionality, and we very much appreciate that. And so, my friends, we will leave it there. We're coming back tomorrow to get into it all again. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.